Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I will talk about conditioning and obedience. And these two words are on the red list for dog owners. Some dog owners love it and the others hate it, like dominance and alpha and leadership and so on. So the question is, when you hear obedience and conditioning, what's the problem? These are first only two words. Just two words. And I have a few examples today why conditioning and obedience isn't the worst thing. And on Saturday, we will have a look why this can help us with New Year's Eve, because it's the time of the year. And I had an offer to prepare, to help people, to support them, to prepare their animals for New Year's Eve. And I was not the only one. Most of my colleagues had this offer, and there was not so much interest. That's interesting because every year animal owners, pet owners, dog owners freak out because it's New Year's Eve and the dogs are afraid of the fireworks. And I think everybody has 1 year time to prepare to help the dog to cope with the fireworks. But obviously, most time of the year it's not very interesting until it's New Year's Eve. And today I will just talk about obedience and conditioning, and on Saturday I'll have a closer look how this can help you and your dog to cope with the fireworks on New Year's Eve. And this is important because a lot of people freak out with obedience and conditioning. And it's a bit sad that special conditioning became such a bad word. It's just a word. So, what do you feel when you hear obedience or conditioning? And my first example today is in 2008. 2008. I lived in Düsseldorf, city in Germany. I lived and worked in the middle of the city, and my first dog, Diesel, he had to come with me into the agency. I was working at publicity for publicity agency, and he was my only dog, and he came with me everywhere. And he came to me with as a puppy, and I had normally a towel or a blanket for him. I had it at home, and I took it with me into the agency or into the restaurant or when we visited friends. And Diesel was used to lie on this blanket, and it was his safe space. So everywhere where I took this blanket, he knew this was his space and his place, and he was safe there because I took care that nobody talked or touched him when he was on his safe space. So I could place this blanket everywhere. Later it could be a towel. It's nothing big. But he knew this was his space. And I had a situation with my second dog, with the two dogs. We were in the village, and we came across a school, and the school was over and the kids came out. And Tim, my second dog, the traumatized border collie, freaked out, panicked, and he ran away. There were the children, parents, cars, bicycles. That's so great. So I put all my stuff on the ground, and I asked Diesel, my old dog, to wait there for me. And I didn't fix him somewhere because I was afraid when someone came too close, he has no chance to run away. And in this situation with all the children, I preferred he could move instead of he is fixed and somebody tries to touch him and maybe will bite because he's stressed or whatever. So I let him sit there free with my stuff, my bag, and went through the cars and the children to look for my second dog, Tim. I catched up Tim and we came back to the diesel, and nothing happened. The people ignored him. He was just sitting there waiting until I came back. He didn't move. And of course, Diesel as a dog who had to live with me in a city, in a village, was totally different trained than the other dogs now here on the countryside. We have a lot of space and nobody's here. But in a village, it's totally different. And I think maybe that's not so great when the dogs here in the countryside are not trained. And when I live in a village and there is a lot of traffic and we have the regulation for traffic. For example, I want to cross a street and the traffic is red. I stop. I wait. When it's green, I walk. When I have a dog, I should train my dog to do the same. Red light, we stay. Green light, we walk. What is this if it's not obedience and conditioning? I, as a human being living in a city with other people, with traffic, I am obedient to do what the red or green light tells me. I'm conditioned to wait at a red light because otherwise it becomes dangerous for me and everyone else. Here on the countryside, we do not have a lot of traffic and we do not have red or green lights. So I cross the street if there's no car. The life on a countryside is totally different. We have other things we have to deal with. We have free running animals, we have cows and horses and hunters and what else. So life here is different. There is no judgment. I just want to say, when I live in a city with traffic, I'm conditioned and obedient to a red light or green light. And this is not bad. It helps us to survive. So the thing is, when we take the words obedience and conditioning, these words are not bad at all. These are just words, and we find them everywhere in our life. Another example, nothing to do with the dogs, is children. When maybe you have children, or you have children in around you in your family, or you were a child. You've been a child and you had a toy or a blanket. What we do is, when we have little babies, they get their blanket and their little toy, their doo-doo, they say in France. And they feel safe. They have their safe space in their bed and they have their blanket, and wow. Now we travel. We visit the family. Whatever. And our baby comes with us. We take the toy and the blanket. And wherever I place my baby with the toy and the blanket, the baby feels safe because it has the toy and the blanket. Because toy and blanket are conditioned. We have a conditioning with the toy and the blanket for the baby, so it feels safe wherever it lies down to sleep. It's the same I had with my dog, with the blanket. And this is a good conditioning. It helps us. It helps the baby to feel safe. It helps us to have less stress. Everybody is fine and calm and feels more comfortable. So conditioning and obedience are just words. The question is, how do I use them? And when you are triggered by the words conditioning and obedience, ask yourself why. What has happened? What have you seen? What is your experience with these words? Because they can help us. They can really help us to help our dogs. when we are open and do not judge the words, when we see that conditioning and obedience is everywhere in our life, otherwise societies cannot work, or um, it would be sometimes extremely dangerous if nobody would listen in the traffic to red or green lights. So it makes our life easier. And on Saturday, I'll make a video about how conditioning and obedience, or mainly conditioning, can help us to support our dog at New Year's Eve or through the holidays at all. Because before New Year's Eve, there is Christmas. And Christmas can be very, very stressful for dogs, cats, animals too, with the whole family around. And yeah. So it's not too late. Of course, you will not change the big fear. It's most, and my experience is with my dogs, that dogs that suffer from anxiety around New Year's Eve with the fireworks also are afraid of loud noise during the whole year. And that's because it totally makes sense to work on this topic the whole year. For example, we here have the hunters, and most of my dogs are afraid of the gunshots. My border collie Tim, he was afraid when children were playing ball or different noise. So this is not only a New Year's Eve problem. It's just that this evening, it's, or during these days, it is we see it massive, and we often feel helpless, and we are stressed, and maybe we panic too a little because we do not know how to help our dog, but there's hope. So I would ask you to ask yourself, what do you feel when you hear obedience and conditioning, and what do you think if this could help you and your dog to have a much calmer New Year's Eve and during the firework? Thank you for listening, and hope to see you Saturday.